Welcome back to the S&S Football Podcast, week 4, where we'll be reviewing the fixtures from game week 9, or 10, I think, actually now. Getting on quite a bit in this Premier League season. We'll also be having a discussion about VAR, following on from the West Ham Villa scandal, it has to be said, and giving our predictions and sort of giving a little preview to the 9 Premier League fixtures this weekend, because Aston Villa versus Newcastle has been postponed due to COVID. So we start off, we're going to be reviewing 5 of the 10 fixtures across this weekend. First fixture, early kickoff on Saturday morning / afternoon. Brighton 1, Liverpool 1. What are your thoughts, Braden, on this game?
I mean, it was an interesting game to watch in terms of obviously everything which happened within the game. It was obviously 1-1, but I think with most games that happen now is the scoreline doesn't reflect what usually happens in the game. There's, like we spoke about last week, the United West Brom game only being 1-0, but if you look at sort of the stuff which happened in that game, it was very action-packed. So in this game, Liverpool, I think they scored, in total 3 times, possibly even 4. Salah was obviously offside. Mane was offside. Mane, definite offside. Nothing, can't really argue with that one. Salah's one, I have to admit, looking at it, I thought it was offside. I have to admit. I think that one, like the one against Everton that they had with, I think it was Mane offside, that was worse than that one. Mane was not offside against Everton. But that one, Salah, I think he was just offside. And we have to go with the rules of what's being stated now. If we go with the rules, he was offside. But he was. I thought he was offside. But look, Liverpool obviously went ahead with Jota. Great goal from him, on flames again. But they got crooked with injuries again. They had Milner come off, and they had Curtis Jones playing a right back. I think Nico Williams started and come off, I think. So yet again, they had a few mixture of injuries, and obviously Alisson must have done something in the game because he didn't play last night against Ajax. Sorry, they had a Keller in goal. So yeah, look, they got hit with injuries, but to be fair to Brighton, is they kept going and they did look dangerous at times. They did, and I think we've both stated about Brighton this season is they always look good going forward. They always look like they can score no matter who they play. I mean, they've shown it against Liverpool. They've shown it against Man United. They scored twice against us, obviously. They do look good going forward. It's just obviously defensively whether they can hold up there. And they've done pretty well, to be fair. They've done pretty well. So look, if we're going to talk about obviously the penalty for Brighton, when you watch the game and when you see Welbeck go down, I didn't know what the hell he'd gone down for. I thought he may have pulled up. But then obviously I'm actually going to say this is why VAR got brought in, and this is the good reason that it's here, because if you see this foul anywhere on the pitch, it's a foul, and we've seen this get given multiple times, this foul. A defender's going for the ball to try and win it back, and an attacker gets their body in the way, sort of shielding the ball, or gets their body in the way, slightest contact, down they go, it's a foul. They're protecting the ball. We all see that. We see that hundreds of times in games over the season. We don't know how many times we see it. So when you watch it back, Robertson makes clear contact, like a lot of contact on the foot of Danny Welbeck. It's not a little tap or we're questioning, is that enough to go down? He whacks his foot and it's a foul. It is a foul. And for me, it's more of a case of, does Robertson need to check who's around him rather than go all out to weigh this ball away? Because, we do see this multiple times in games. We see this multiple times in games that, players are winning cheap fouls. And you could say Welbeck's won a cheap foul, but for me, it was a foul. And that's why VAR has been brought in to clear up that, because the ref would never have seen it. And then obviously Gross scores the equaliser, and that Brighton got a point, Liverpool dropped 2. But on reflection of the game, Liverpool probably should have won because he had obviously more goals chalked off and looked more dangerous in the end. But Brighton, they held up well, and they do what Brighton do, to be fair.
Yeah, I think Brighton It's a really good point for them. I think that win against Villa gave them a lot of confidence going into this game, and I think that was evident from the performance. Diogo Jota, for me, has been one of the signings of the summer. Fantastic addition. He's really adding to Liverpool's front line, and he's fitted in so well. And he really does look dangerous. And in a season where Sadio Mane and Salah and Firmino aren't really having their most prolific seasons in terms of statistics, Jota's come in and more than vacated for the three of them in terms of his goal contributions. So he's been magnificent since he has come in from Wolves. And I was one that questioned the transfer at the start, but it seems to have worked out. It was just a game, again, though, that is just subsidised by VAR decisions. And it's so frustrating that VAR is causing such a mixed bag of reviews. You know, in this game, yeah, you could argue that VAR has done its job on 2 occasions, like you said. But obviously, when you're a Liverpool fan and you're having goals chalked off and penalties given against you in the 90th minute, it's obviously going to frustrate you, and that's going to bring out a negative reaction from those fans. So, look, I think on the balance of play, I think obviously Liverpool would have wanted to have got the 3 points, but on the balance of play, I'd probably say draw was a fair result. I think Liverpool look a very tired team. And I'm not surprised, you know, like Jurgen Klopp. I don't know whether any of you saw it, the Des Kelly interview where he attacks the broadcasters. I think Jurgen Klopp is just very frustrated that his squad has barely any time to rest. And his players are just dropping like flies, you know. For Liverpool to even be top of the league or joint top of the league right now is a major achievement, considering they've lost most of their squad. So look, I think it was a good point for Liverpool away at Brighton. They're still second in the league on goal difference, so I don't think Liverpool fans will be worrying yet. But I think if they do get a few more injuries to key players, I think it could be a difficult time for Liverpool, to be honest.
Yeah, and look, I hear what Klopp has said about the busy schedule, but we mustn't forget as well is it's not just happening to Liverpool. Like Man United had the exact same thing 2-3 weeks back. We played Istanbul on a Thursday night, Champions League, and then we had 12:30 against Everton. And remember where Everton were in the league and where we were in the league? That's not an easy game. And I know you could say against Istanbul, you could have rested players because it's Istanbul. It's the Champions League, you know. You've got to beat what's put in front of you. And do you take that risk by resting players and possibly lose the game? Or do you, put out your strong squad and then take them off? And I think that's what Ollie did. But luckily, we got through the Everton game. But Ollie had the exact same views. It's not just happening to Liverpool. And I think the thing we get caught up with is, again, with Liverpool, we've seen the reception that they got after Van Dijk's injury. Jimenez may not be able to play football again, and that has nowhere been coverage as much as what's happened with Van Dijk. And Van Dijk is going to come back and play football. Let's not get that twisted. He's going to come back and play football. He may never play again, Jimenez, because we've seen that happen with Ryan Mason, for example. Exact same injury. Yeah. And look at what's happened. Yeah. We get built up. Everyone thinks Van Dijk's died the way Liverpool fans are reacting to that tackle on Pickford. I know it's not a good one. I know it's a foul. But still, Jimenez get cleaned out cold and nothing has happened. So why is this perception that it's all going wrong for Liverpool? Well, like I said a couple pods ago with the injuries, Tottenham had it last season. They had it, and it didn't get coverage as much. There was a guy, Liverpool fan on Twitter, I think they've got 6-7 injuries now. 3 of them don't even start. 3 of them don't even start. With Tottenham last season, Son, Kane, that's 2. There was many more that started in that team. Lloris got injured. That's 3. There's probably a couple more I've missed out. Why is it always we have to play the pity card for Liverpool? Why? Why is it? And this isn't me being a Man United fan. This is me thinking, why is everyone trying to give this pittiness to Liverpool? Because it's happening to everyone else. If you look at the Champions League fixtures, there is probably a point where City or Chelsea or someone has to play on a 12:30 kickoff after playing on a Thursday. Oh, sorry,
I think
Wednesday. Like, why? Why is it?
I think there's more. I think there's more of a romance with Liverpool because of the Jurgen Klopp factor. I think naturally people have it in for Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, people have it in for Jose Mourinho. So when we're talking about Tottenham and Man United, I think people naturally have an agenda against both clubs. Whereas with Liverpool, you've got the whole romanticism of it. You know, Klopp, this statuesque manager that has done so well with not the greatest team, and he's made them world champions, and he's won the Premier League for the first time in however many years. So I think he does. I think Liverpool do get that leniency for that reason. And look, as frustrating as it is, and I completely hear your points. I just found it interesting how he attacked the situation, and I don't think he should have done it. I think it was a little bit of a lack of professionalism from him. But look, at the end of the day, it's been and gone now. You know, he said what he said. He probably will get charged for it. His attack on the media, and we can move on to the next game that we want to speak about, and that is. I mean, I don't really know what to say about this game, to be honest. Chelsea 0, Tottenham Hotspur 0. A game that, again, it looks the best on paper, but it was just such a poor game of football. Like, I think Mason Mount said it before the game. He said this is going to be a really tactical game of football, and God, was it tactical. Tottenham, look, they were brilliant defensively. Chelsea, apart from a few half chances and an offside goal, they didn't really do a fat lot. Tottenham did really well. They had a great shape. I thought Dembele was the best player on the pitch. I think he's been so good for Tottenham this season, and he was making Kante look absolutely stupid in this game. But I thought Tottenham were really good. Young Joe Rodon at the back, I thought he did okay. Made a few mistakes. But for a debut, I think he did okay. Clean sheet as well, which always helps for the confidence. I was just really disappointed with Chelsea. You know, for a lot of people's dream teams, Ziyech didn't turn up, Werner didn't turn up. A lot of Chelsea's big players that when you pay the fees for players like they have, you expect in them type of games to produce. And there was just nothing from Chelsea. Absolutely nothing throughout. And I hate to say it, and I hate to single a player out because I love him to bits because of what he did at Villa. But for me, Tammy Abraham is not good enough to play for Chelsea. I'm sorry, he's not. He would be good enough to play for a Villa and get 10 to 15 goals a season. He's not good enough to play in a game like that because, for me, them two Reece James crosses, if Giroud's in that box, there's a goal. I'm sorry. Tammy is a really good striker, a young striker, up and coming. But for me, he's not got the cutting instinct of a striker. It may come in the future, but he just doesn't look ready. And I feel sorry for him because Lampard shoving him up front in a game like that, I think it is pretty harsh. I'd have liked to have seen Werner play centre forward and Pulisic from the start. I'd love to have seen Pulisic, Werner and Ziyech as a front three and really go at Tottenham in the second half, but they didn't. And I thought both sides were happy with the point. I felt like before the game, both sides were pretty much like, "Oh God, we don't want to lose this, so we're just going to sit back." And it favours Tottenham more than Chelsea because Tottenham have now gone top of the league through it, and it was a good tactical Mourinho performance. But I was just really disappointed in Chelsea because they showed no intent throughout the game. There was no intensity from them, and it was a really, really poor game from them.
Yeah, no, I think in terms of the Chelsea-Tottenham game, it was you mentioned you were disappointed in Chelsea. I was actually disappointed in Tottenham in terms of the fact that, especially in the second half, the willingness to really attack with the firepower they've got really shocked me. It really did. I mean, you've got Kane and Son who are in the form of their life at the minute. Like, you've got the supporting cast around them in terms of your Bergwijn, your Moura when he come on late. But he didn't even bring Bale on. Didn't even bring Bale on in that game. So I don't understand why Tottenham didn't even have an attempt in the second half. And if we're going through the game itself, did they really have an attempt on goal? Because if they did, it must have been.
I think they had the Serge Aurier one.
Yeah, which was
that was a good strike, and he got down.
Yeah, that's pretty comfortable, isn't it? So they didn't really have an attempt on goal. So I was really disappointed by them. But I thought defensively, I know Rodon made that mistake. Well, right at the end, and Giroud should have scored, but I thought he was probably the best player on the pitch, Joe Rodon. I really did. I think he was better than Dyer, and he was fantastic, absolutely fantastic. And when you consider this is his first game in the Premier League, coming up from the Championship as well, being chucked into that. To be honest, when we did the preview to this, we completely forgot that he could have played Sanchez as well. We mentioned Rodon and Tanganga, but Sanchez was there that he could have picked as well. So yeah, I thought Joe Rodon was one of the best players on the pitch, if not the best. I thought he was fantastic, absolutely magnificent. Considering, going up against Tammy, and I know he's not exactly Giroud, but he's still got that battle and that aerial presence. It's not going to be easy for a defender, but maybe that's Joe Rodon's game, playing against someone like Tammy. If they had put Werner up there, maybe he would have struggled a bit more, and I think he probably could have. But we'll never know because Werner didn't didn't play up top either. But yeah, no. If Giroud plays that game, Chelsea win at least 1-0. It's as simple as that. It is as simple as that. Them 2 crosses by Reece James, any striker would want to get on the end of that. And Tammy, for want of a better word, bottled both headers. He glances them, but he doesn't attack it. He bottles them. It's one of them where you just got to stick your head on it, and that's it. And then even there was a third chance where he fell over when Dyer was near him, and it trickled into, I think, Lloris's hands. Why is he falling over? Dyer's not fouling him. Dyer's out the game. He was like looking at somewhere else. He's trying to hold. Why? Why is he falling over? If he just stays on his feet, he's basically got a tap in.
I do feel sorry for him, because the thing is, I feel as though Chelsea, and I have a fear that they're going to do it with Ross Barkley at the end of the season. Chelsea are a hoarder club. They loan their players out, and then when they show any form of promise, they bring them back and they play them. And it's brilliant.
Frank's already said he wants to get Barkley back. He said he wants to get. And he was going to bring him back because he's doing so well at Villa.
And do you know what? Don't get me wrong. It's credit to Lampard that he's giving these players opportunities. But Chelsea as a club, it comes a point where they need to sit there and go, look, if we want to challenge for Premier League titles, if we want to win Champions Leagues, if we want to be successful again, players like Tammy Abraham, players like Ruben Loftus-Cheek, players like Ross Barkley they're not what we want. And clubs like Villa and clubs like Leeds and clubs like Everton and Wolves can benefit from that. And I think Villa should honestly go in for Tammy Abraham in January, because I think he fits better with what Villa want to do. He's played under a Dean Smith system before, and I think he'd link up so well with Barkley, Watkins, Grealish. I think it'd be a revelation if he came back to Villa. And I do feel sorry for him, because he was so prolific for Villa. And he hit the ground running at Chelsea last season at the start. But he just hasn't been able to find that form since. And I think throwing him in the deep end like that, starting him against Spurs in arguably their biggest game of the season, I think was a mistake from Lampard. And I think if he sat down, he'd probably think the same thing, especially when you consider that you've got an elite finisher in Giroud on the bench, and you look at the chances that Tammy missed, like you said. It's just disappointing. But overall, really, really disappointing game of football for what it was made out to be at the start.
Yeah.
And I think both sides were disappointing in their own respects.
Yeah, I think the reason I don't think Chelsea are going to end up selling Tammy or Loftus-Cheek yet It's because they've come through the academy. You know, they rave about their academy being, you know, one of the best, and they want to see these players become one of the best. I mean, Hudson-Odoi, we could argue, you know, what's he done in the past? Well, since he made his debut, you know, I know he's had an injury, but still, you know, is that another one they need to see where his future lies? Is he going to be a Chelsea player, or is he more suited to somewhere else? But look, Chelsea ain't going to want to get rid of their academy players because Frank Lampard's come in and all the academy players are coming through and they're all excellent. So he's not going to want to get rid of them. And with Tammy, look, it's such a difficult one because he could probably end up going to, you know, a club you mentioned, Villa, Everton, Wolves, one of them, and do really well. But at the same time, would he get those chances that he got from Reece James? And if he is he still going to do the same things he did then? So it's like, it's a difficult one as to where his future lies. And I think you got to stick with him for the minute. I mean, for Christ's sake, if we're talking about strikers, I mean, look at the start Martial's had for United, but we're not exactly going to say, oh, we need to get rid of him. You've got to stick by them. And look, they may be going through a tough patch in a minute, but you know that if they've scored goals, they will score goals, and you have to back them. But for me, how on earth Werner cannot start at striker for Chelsea is beyond me. That's where he scored all his goals for RB Leipzig. I don't understand why he's playing off the left. And I only understood it for one game, and that was against Liverpool. I understood that because Trent on his side goes bombing, and he will go bombing, and we know what he's like defensively as well. He's not always the greatest. So I understood that. I was like, okay, that's actually pretty smart putting him on the left. Since then, I don't get it. It's a seam he's trying to fit everyone in. He's trying to fit all his good players in rather than suit the needs of his best goal scorer. Like, we've had it before with England, you know, trying to fit, how do you fit Scholes, Lampard? No, you do what's right for the system. And if that means Tammy doesn't start or Giroud doesn't start, they don't start. If that means you start Pulisic on the wing, you put Pulisic on the wing. If you start Havertz on the wing, see, I think Havertz is better at number 10. You put him at number 10, you know. You're not telling me Havertz in behind Werner isn't going to work. Surely you're not telling me that's not going to work. So I think Lampard is trying to fit players into a team. He's trying to fit all the good attacking players he's got into a team, and it's not working at the minute. And Werner should be starting up front for me.
I think, it's an interesting point. To be fair, I think Lampard's going to learn that sort of thing through experience, and I think being blessed with the squad that he has, I think, look, it's going to take time for him to find his best team. He's had a lot of players come through the door at once. He's still got players there. I think the problem is with Lampard, I think he doesn't want to upset people, and I think that when we're talking about him playing players out of position just to fit them in, you know, his hand was almost bitten off to get N'Golo Kante back into the squad and back into the team. So look, I think Frank will learn with time, but like we said, disappointing.
I'm still not convinced.
Not really playing Giroud or Werner up top. I think was criminal in this game.
I'm still not convinced with Frank Lampard. You know, I know obviously Chelsea have improved massively this season, and that is down to the signings they brought in. But I still think he's in a similar boat to Ole, Arteta, in terms of, is he the right man to really take them forward? I mean, he's dragging Werner off. He's dragging, I know Havertz has just come back from illness. I understand that. But he's obviously going to bring Havertz on. Is he the one to find the best system for that Chelsea team? And look, I hope he is. I hope he is, because the same boat Chelsea's in with United. I hope Ollie does really well at our club because he's a club legend, and I still feel he's the man to do what's best for my club, and I hope it's the same for Chelsea. But you do have to think, is he still the right guy? And I'm not saying he should be sacked now, no, because Chelsea are, third in the league. But can we all point out, the bad start United have had to the season and the slate he got again, if United win their game in hand, which is against Burnley, They go level on points with Chelsea, who have had a fantastic start to the season. That's a bit I don't get, is that should we win that game in hand against Burnley, and I know it's Burnley and we all know what can happen with Burnley, but are we going to get the same plaudits that Lampard's been getting? Especially with Lampard, I know he spent 200 odd million this summer on numerous players. Are we going to get the same plaudits?
I think it's a difficult situation because the Premier League right now, like Villa, for example, we've won and lost 4 of our last 5, and we're still like 3 points. I think if we win our game in hand or 2 games in hand now, we're joint on points with Liverpool. It is just a mental league this year, and I think, you know, the current climate, the situation that we're in, I think it is difficult. But I do agree that Lampard is in the same boat as a lot of managers, to be honest. I think in the Premier League era, we're in a period of transition, especially with managers. I think, you know, we're in a period where a lot of managers are trying to prove themselves at the top level. And I think Lampard's one of them. Arteta, as you mentioned, there are quite a few that are still proving themselves. And look, time will only tell. I think if Chelsea don't compete this year and don't win anything,
big question marks.
I think it could get quite ugly for Lampard because Chelsea are quite a demanding fan base. So I don't think they're going to stick around, even though they love him. They love Mourinho, and now they hate him. And I know obviously it's a little bit different because Lampard was a club legend, but it will come a point where, look, football's a results-driven business, and he's got to produce results. So, but we move on. So I'm going to pair these games up to get through them. We've got Southampton 2, Man United 3, which I'm sure you will absolutely love to cover. And we've got Leicester 1, Fulham 2. Shock result of the weekend for Fulham. Fantastic performance at the King Power. But we'll talk about Southampton versus Man United first.
Yeah, I mean, you give me the reins to sort of go first on this one. I have to point out there was probably between Southampton's first and second goal, that was the worst we played all game. Apart from that, we played really well all game. And we were 2-0 down. And I remember thinking, how are we 2-0 down? We haven't even played that badly. We obviously had that spell, you know, the corner and then Ward-Prowse's free kick. But we hadn't played that badly. And if you watch the game, and Southampton always come out quick, always start well. We'd come out the quickest and we were on top of them and we had some good chances. But yeah, again, Benerick scores from a corner. Fantastic delivery, questionable marking, but it's how they do their set pieces. And when you got Ward-Prowse on a set piece, you've always got a chance. And the second goal is just pure class. I mean, you can't do anything about it. The fact De Gea gets a hand to it is testament to how good he did to try and stop it. Obviously got injured in the process, but that's a fantastic free kick for Ward-Prowse. I don't think many keepers would have saved that. And then obviously at half-time, subs were made. Hendo coming on in goal, and Cavani coming on for Greenwood. And I actually saw this sub and I was thinking, what I would have done is I would have sacrificed Matic and brought him off and brought Cavani on and had Greenwood and Rashford side of him in a 4-3-3. Because with Matic, I ripped my hair out with Matic because a lot of people said he was absolutely fantastic against Southampton. And I understand it, but then there's that other point of me where he takes so long on the ball, he's so vulnerable to losing it, and he hasn't got the legs to get back or to cover spaces which have been left out. So he's good for us, but the legs just aren't there, and he's too slow on the ball sometimes. And it is sometimes painful to watch. You can see the player pressing him, and Matic just doesn't see him. But when he is being pressed sometimes, he is very calm on the ball and very composed. So give or take as to whether he played well, I think he played okay. I wouldn't rave about him, but I say what he does he did well against Southampton. I thought Fred and Donny and Bruno worked fantastically again. They were fantastic. And look, if we're going to speak about Bruno, I mean, he played. I'm not even going to rave about his performance. He played average, to be fair, in that game, but he still got a goal and an assist. I mean, what more do you want? What more do you want from him? I mean, the guy is unbelievable. And then Cavani, where do we even start? 2 fantastic finishes from basically nothing, to be honest. His first goal especially, I mean, it's a deflected shot and he's there. And that is the reason we brought him in. That movement, that eye for goal is why he's there. And the winner is pure class, pure class. I mean, to get down and to get that header and to put it in is fantastic. The movement, the quick free kick, it ruffles up the Southampton defence, and he's got a free run in, to be fair. It's poor defending, but it's a massive win. That's a humongous win, and that sums up Man United as a club. It really does. 2-0 down at half-time. You know, we don't even play badly, like I mentioned, and to win 3-2, that is a huge game, and it keeps the away run going. And tonight we've got the big one against PSG. If we win that, we go through. So we've got to take some momentum into that. And if Cavani starts, then I'll be all for it, because I think he's due a start now. The way he's been playing, he's definitely due a start.
I was impressed with how Man United started. I think the tactic was to get Southampton early, put them under a lot of pressure, and it worked. But as soon as Southampton got that goal, Man United fell apart in the first half. 2 quick-fire goals in quick succession, 2-0 down. And you shouldn't be giving Southampton set-piece situations. James Ward-Prowse single-handedly destroyed Villa, and in the first half he destroyed Man United. A brilliant cross for Ben Direct to get his head on it. Poor marking from Marcus Rashford. And then the second goal, just a world of a free kick. The fact that the commentators were trying to say that David De Gea should have saved it, I think, is a joke. Quite frankly, it was an unbelievable free kick. And I think if Ronaldo or Messi had scored a free kick like that, again, we'd be talking about it for years. So James Ward-Prowse is an absolute technician. And I think Southampton were fantastic in the first half. Although Man United missed so many big chances in that first half. Bruno, Rashford, Greenwood. I mean, I don't know what's happened to Mason Greenwood since that whole England thing, but he just looks a shadow of a player that he was at the back end of last season. And I honestly thought he'd kick on this year and this would be his full breakthrough year, but it just hasn't worked out that way. But in the second half, I have to credit Ollie where it's due. I think bringing on Cavani won them the game. He changed the whole dynamic of the game. You know, Bruno getting them back in it with a great finish, Cavani assist, and then them 2 headers. You only score that if you're a quality of player like him. You know, Man United are so blessed in a way to have a player like Edison Cavani, where they can just bring just a world-class striker off the bench and win you a game like that. That's the difference. And I think United were the balance of play. I'll probably say that they were just worthy of the win, because they did start the first half really well and then sort of tailed off. But I will say that as a United fan, I'd be quite worried that when you went 2-0 down, it genuinely could have been 3 or 4. Like, United did well to keep it at 2. There was a complete capitulation before half-time. So the mountain of a job that Ollie had to get them back out for the second half and to go on and win the game, he does have to get credited for it.
Do you know what
I think it was a good performance from United.
Do you know what it is? I think when we went 2-0 down, I know they had the odd chance, but I don't think... Obviously, they always look like scoring going forward, Southampton, because they're playing with confidence. But I didn't feel we'd go 3 down. I think they had one half chance, which came close. But apart from that, I think we really got on top of the game and really sort of ground out that win, but also played some fantastic football at times. And in the final third was really creative, and that's what I think was key to sort of getting the win. I mean, even with the free kick at the end, I mean, to sort of do that, just to sort of mix up their defence a little bit, and then Cavani to have that run, it just shows the creativity in working that. I thought Rashford had a really quiet game, to be fair. I thought he was, at times I was ripping my hair out because there's times where he just needs to shoot or to lay it off to someone, and he didn't do it, and the chance had gone. The same with Van der Beek. I love Van der Beek. I think he's fantastic, and he should be starting like he did. And he's fantastic in that midfield three. But there's times where I'm thinking, just hit it, lad. Instead of looking to set someone else up, just shoot. Please, just shoot. But look, at the end of the day, it's a sign of champions coming back from 2-0 down. It's a sign of champions. You know, you're not playing so well when you come back. I mean,
mate, I think I'm gonna have to step in here. I think that's a little bit too far.
We're in the
No, but look, it was a good result for Man United. Look, it was a good result for Man United. But I think you're a little bit far off winning a Premier League. But we move on to Leicester 1, Fulham 2. Now, do you know what? I'm going to take a little bit of credit for this, because although I predicted Fulham to lose, I have said on every podcast that I think Fulham have been doing okay this season. And in this game, they were phenomenal. Leicester haven't been good at home this season. I will admit that. They've been a shadow of the team. And most teams haven't this season. We haven't. And look at how we've been away from home this year. And I think Leicester are exactly the same. But to go to they're going to be a top 8 club this year. To go to a top 8 club and get a fantastic away result like that. And look, it took a screamer for Leicester to even score. Harvey Barnes scored an absolute worldie to even score past Fulham. And Fulham could have got more. There was more goals in this game for them. I'm really glad that they scored their penalty. It was a fantastic penalty from Ivan Cavallero. And I'm really happy that Lookman scored as well. Getting back on the score sheet after that West Ham-related incident. And look, Fulham were fantastic. I thought they were brilliant. And credit to Scott Parker, because I actually think that Fulham might stay up this year. I could see West Brom, Burnley and Sheffield United getting relegated this year. After seeing a performance like that, I think Fulham are competing more than any of the 3 teams that I've just mentioned. And I said that on the last pod. I think Fulham are a competitive side. They just need to sort things out defensively. And in this game, it felt like they got that defensive structure right. I thought Anderson in the heart of Fulham's defence was phenomenal. Tossing Adebayo, I gave him stick last week, but he was good. The whole back 4 for Fulham, or back 5, I think it was, which they were just phenomenal. And look, Fulham well deserved the win. Leicester barely troubled them until the last 20 minutes of the second half. So yeah, brilliant result for Scott Parker, and that actually lifts them at the bottom 3 as well.
Yeah, it's a fantastic win for Scott Parker, and I'm glad that he's getting them wins now, because the job he's done since he come in. I think even when he took over at the end of their Premier League season, when they got relegated, he did really well as well. So it's glad to see him back, obviously, in the Premier doing well. With Leicester, it's such a difficult one, because we saw how they underperformed at Anfield. And I thought they'd really come out the blocks in this one and really put their mark on this game and get 3 points, because they need to bounce back, especially after a performance like that against Liverpool. It wasn't exactly threatening, shall we say. But look, you've got to give credit to Fulham. It was a fantastic performance, like you mentioned. They've sorted out the penalty issue. And Lookman's on the score sheet as well. So, look, a fantastic result for Fulham. I don't think you could argue too much about it. It was just a really good performance. I think in terms of them going down this season, I still think West Brom have got quality to possibly dislodge the 3 you mentioned. But I think in terms of Sheffield United and Burnley, they're looking in trouble. But West Brom do, I think Mateus Pereira against Sheffield United absolutely run the show, was fantastic all game, and really had, sort of the whole Sheffield United defence on strings. But yeah, I think Sheffield United are in real trouble, especially after that West Brom game. They're in real trouble. Didn't really mount anything until the last 20 minutes. Ramsdale goal, we said all season we're not convinced. I think we can see now how big a job Dean Henderson did for them and how much they're missing him. So look, I think Sheffield United are in trouble. Burnley obviously losing to City 5-0. I think huge trouble for them. So I think between Fulham and West Brom, they've both got good quality. They're playing well and they're getting results. I mean, first win for West Brom, obviously, at the weekend. So hopefully they can kick on from that. But no, fantastic performance by Fulham, definitely.
I think it's interesting what you actually mentioned about Matías Pereira against West Brom, because I don't actually think he did anything. I thought West Brom was shocking in the game, quite frankly. I thought they were awful. They scored an awful goal, Conor Gallagher, but Ramsdale should have saved it. They got dominated by Sheffield United. This was one-way traffic, and how Sheffield United didn't score. Lys Mousset, Ryan Brewster. Oh my God, Ollie McBurney.
I don't think it was one-way traffic. I don't think it was one-way traffic. I think West Brom
in the second half it definitely was.
Second half, because Sheffield United had to go for it. They had to go for it. So West Brom just tried to hold on, but the bright spark from their team was Pereira. Everything was going through him, and we look at set pieces as well. Sheffield United got bullied. They got absolutely bullied by West Brom. You know, you look at the tall players they got, the Bashams, all the tall players they got bullied, and they didn't win a single header. I mean, they're allowing corners. 3 times they allowed corners to go to the edge of the box to Gallagher without even clocking on it.
I think I don't get what the thing is with Matías Pereira. I might be having my Villa hat on here, but I don't think, for the hype that West Brom fans give this guy, and for the, you know, in the Championship, they were saying, oh, he's going to rip it up in the Prem, brilliant player. He's not producing. He is overrated for me, and that might spark a little bit of controversy, but he's not cutting the mustard in the Premier League. Jack Grealish gets judged on his goal contributions. I think Matías Pereira has maybe scored 1 goal and got 1 assist in 9 or 10 games. That ain't good enough. If West Brom want to stay this season, he has to get more goal contributions. And in a game like this, as much as he was okay in the first half, and he did a few bits that, you know, you could say, oh, yeah, there's signs, he's got to start producing more. And yeah, I know it's harsh criticising West Brom considering they won the game, but Sheffield United should have won this game, especially on the chances they got in the second half. They were some of those chances. Poor Chris Wilder must be absolutely fuming. I don't know what has happened to Sheffield United, but this second season syndrome has hit them so hard. And I mean, yeah, I guess we've got to go back to the Leicester-Fulham result. It was a great result for Fulham, but I do think that West Brom, Sheffield United and Burnley are all doomed this year. I think Burnley, out of the 3 of them, have probably got the best chance just because they've got a manager like Sean Dyche who knows how to get out of that situation.
Yeah.
But we move.
What I will say just quickly,
swiftly on.
I'll just quickly say about Sheffield United is they can't score. They literally can't score. And I thought Brewster come on looked lively, and he looked like if anyone was going to score, it was going to be him. So that's the positive they can take out of it. Brewster did come on and play well. McBurney cannot finish for his life. For a Premier League striker, he had a chance on his weak foot and he hit it straight at the keeper. He's not a
Premier League striker, though.
Well, I mean, he's playing in the Premier League, so. And then Baldock, I think it was Baldock as well, had a chance where it cut back to him. He was destined to score and he put it over. But like I mentioned to you, the thing I mentioned to you at halftime, which really annoyed me, was the thing with McBurney warming up. I mean, the players come back out to warm up. All the Sheffield United players, you know, putting in the effort to do the warm-up and go back up. And then you've got a player who's been as poor as McBurney. who hasn't performed like McBurney did last season, who's on a goal drought like McBurney, is walking through the warm-up and not showing the right intensity to go back out into a game. And to me, that I was basically swearing at him at the watching the game. I was that annoyed with the sort of lack of effort in the warm-up. And I know you could say, oh, it's only the little things, but all his other teammates are giving it absolute beans to get back out there and do the warm-up, and they're doing the warm-up ready to go into the game with good intensity. And he's there jogging, they're doing high skips, he's only lifting off the ground a little bit. It's so poor from McBurney, and honestly, if they continue with him up front, they're not going to win games. They're not going to win games because he can't finish, and I just think his all-round game isn't good enough at the minute. It really isn't. And Brewster did well, so hopefully he starts.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. And we're gonna move on. Rant incoming. But West Ham United 2, Aston Villa 1. Last game of the game week on Monday night. I know, Braden, you didn't watch the game.
No, I didn't. Sorry, mate.
You just watched the highlight reel. So I guess I'll give my assessment of this game. Look, 2 minutes gone, we concede, 1-0 down, Angelo Ogbonna header. We had a warning in the first minute. They put in a long throw and nearly scored from it. Matt Targett with a brilliant block. They get the corner. Villa, for some reason, zonally mark, which is a discussion for another day about zonal marking. Don't get why it's used. John McGinn ends up being on Angelo Ogbonna. Complete mismatch. Ogbonna loses him. Matt Targett can't do anything because he's coming on to him. 1-0 down in 2 minutes. I thought, this is a brilliant start. Fantastic. Villa don't usually ever win a game from 1-0 down, so this is going to be a tough game. But Villa grew into this game, and West Ham did absolutely nothing. And I can assure you that I'm not just being biased here. West Ham did absolutely nothing for the rest of the first half. We dominated this first half, absolutely destroyed them. We had chance after chance after chance. We had Hourahan, a few free kicks, just missed the goal, really close. Ollie Watkins nearly scored. Grealish obviously scored a screamer. And I mean, I'll move on to him in a bit, but just unreal throughout this game. West Ham, quite frankly, couldn't cope with him. But we dominated this game and we looked so comfortable, and the goal was fantastic. Matty Cash playing a straight ball into Grealish. Grealish running through the heart of West Ham and finishing it in the top corner. Just a brilliant goal. We come out for the second half, exactly the same as we come out for the first half. Cold. We go 2-1 down in 1 minute 30 seconds of the second half. It's not good enough. It's not good enough to come out twice and concede in the opening 2 minutes. Not good enough. And you can't expect to win football matches, as much as what I'm about to say after this. You can't expect to win football matches putting yourself on mountains like that after 2 minutes. It's not good enough. Ben Rama and Bowen should not be getting a free header in the box when you got Tyrone Mings and Ezri Konsa in there. So I was really, really disappointed. And to be fair to David Moyes, fair play for bringing on Ben Rama and Haller, because it worked. It won him the game. Ben Rama got the assist for Bowen. However, again, second half, Villa absolutely dominated. For 88 minutes of this game, Villa honestly could have scored 7 or 8. It was a joke. Trezeguet missing from a yard, or if that, 2 to 3 yards, open goal, missed, straight to Fabianski, somehow. Ollie Watkins missing penalties. Chance after chance after chance. And I do feel for Watkins, to be honest, because as much as it annoyed me at the time that he missed the penalty, he's a young player. He's just come into the Premier League. He's got 6 goals already. But you can't miss penalties like that. It's a big game. It's a really big game for us because we're on a bad run of form. We've got tough fixtures coming up. We're playing well. As a striker, you have to take chances like that. I do not care what striker it is. You have to put away penalties. I don't know why he's tried to smash it in the top corner. Just pick your spot and place it, mate. Just put it in the bottom corner. It's just so frustrating because he didn't have the best of games either. So to miss a penalty like that, and now the Newcastle game being postponed, it's going to have shot his confidence because he hasn't even got a quick turnaround to put it right and to score. So I'm gutted for him on that front. No excuses for Trezeguet missing. I think it's about time that he gets dropped. As much as he gives energy to Villa, he misses too many big chances. Last week, he missed a sitter. We could have drew the game against Brighton. This week, he misses a sitter against West Ham. We could have drew against West Ham. He's missing big chances every week. And it comes a point where we spent 20 million on Bertrand Traore. Give him a game. Give him an opportunity. Give him a game from the start and let him do his thing. Because do you know what? Trezeguet can't expect to play when you miss chances like that. Villa this season need as many points as we can because I don't want it to get to the latter end of the season and we're in the same situation as we are last year. I don't think we will, but in games like that, when you get gifted opportunities to get something from a game away to West Ham, who before this game were phenomenal this season, apart from the first 2 games of the season, they've been phenomenal. When you get hand-fed opportunities like that and you don't take them, you deserve to lose. But the major talking point of the game, and the one that I think is going to baffle every single Villa fan up and down the country, as well as anger them, trigger them, VAR. I'm disgusted. I'm still fuming about it. It's a disgusting decision. Absolutely vile. 92nd minute of the game, for those that don't know. Watch it. I would recommend watching it because I think you'd need a magnifying glass to try and figure out that Ollie Watkins is apparently offside. Matt Targett plays a ball into the box to Ollie Watkins. He finishes it 2-2. All the Villa players run back. It then goes to VAR. And of course, when it goes to VAR, there's only one outcome, and that's that the decision's getting changed. And it's just a load of rubbish, really, because there's 2 factors that have to tie into this decision. Firstly, Ollie Watkins is not in an offside position when the ball is played. If we're talking about being offside, being less than, I think, 0.1 millimetres offside, that is a joke. How can the line that they drew, there is no, you cannot call that offside. That is the worst one that VAR have done. Fact. That and the Liverpool one against Everton, I'd probably say that our one's worse. I'm sorry. I would say our one is worse. Ollie Watkins is not in an offside position. And plus to the fact that Ollie Watkins is not in an offside position, VAR don't check the fact that Angelo Agbona has got both of his hands around his neck. It's even more of a penalty than the first one, and Watkins still scored. So it's either a goal because he's not offside, or it's a penalty because Agbona's fouled him in the build-up. It makes VAR, for me, makes no sense. I'm sorry. These lines that get drew and these offsides, it needs to go because it's ruining football. And I'm so passionate about it because, do you know what? It's not the first time that VAR have just gone over Villa. It's so hard not to swear, honestly, and trying to keep it PG because I was fuming at this game. How is Ollie Watkins in an offside position? I beg anyone that watches this video, please go and see the incident so you know what I'm talking about. It is a disgusting decision. He's not offside. I'm sorry. He's not offside. I'm still puzzled now as to how we've been robbed of a valuable point. Well, how have we not won that game? Oh my God.
But I think with, obviously I didn't watch the game, but I've seen the highlights of the game. The first 2 goals, both of West Ham's goals are too easy, way too easy defensively. I think Obonna basically has a free header for his first goal. And then I said to you as I watched the highlights, how on earth has Jared Bowen got a free run into the box and isn't even being picked up? Like, I know he's not the biggest of aerial threats, but come on. Like, you can't just allow someone to have a free run into a box and not get picked up. But yeah, the penalty missed by Watkins is a terrible one. All he's got to do is roll it. The keeper's gone the other way anyways. All he's got to do is roll it, and he scored. And then we'll, obviously the VAR stuff. Like you mentioned, it's a foul. It's a foul. There's no doubt about that. It's a foul. But then you've also got to look back at, we've had the Maguire one on Azpilicueta, which wasn't given, that headlock. There's been another one recently, and Neville and Carragher spoke about it, but I can't remember what it is. So if you can, then please do remind me. I don't know if that got given or not, though. I can't remember. So there has been issues of hands around the neck not being given or being given. But no, it is a pen. It's a foul. It's a foul. I'm not saying it's not, but I'm saying previous ones haven't been given. And then the offside, it's so weird and so hard to try and work out, because where they've taken the lines, they've taken it off of basically Watkins' elbow, and you can't score with your elbow, so they should be taking it from the shoulder. So you can't actually work out where his line is. And with Kufal, they've taken it like halfway up his arm. They haven't taken it from here. They've taken it from like here. So you still can't work out there whether he's offside. But if we're thinking about scrapping the whole lines and giving benefit of doubt to strikers, like if we have an instance like Salah again, and we give the strikers benefit of the doubt, does that scrap the offside rule then? Because if their toes are offside, or if the front bit of their foot is offside, which is the benefit of the doubt, they're still offside. So where's then the conversation moves to, where's the margins of offside and not? And is there any point in having offside if we're going to give players an onside when they're actually off? It may only be a little bit of the foot, but they're still off.
Well, I think VAR ultimately made their own coffin by this statement of clear and obvious keeps getting brought up. And I did my research, and it's because the Premier League clubs got informed that when VAR was introduced, that they are there to deem clear and obvious errors made by officials. Now, that includes offsides. Tell me where on that line there is a clear and obvious offside. It's not clear and obvious if it takes you 3 minutes, 50 seconds, and the Villa one at Arsenal, 4 minutes it took to deem it clear and obvious. It's not clear and obvious then. A minute max, and if it takes longer than a minute, no, not even a minute, if it doesn't take 30 seconds to figure out an offside or a penalty or any decision like that, gone. That decision doesn't need to get touched. And I hate how Dermot Gallagher on Sky Sports, don't get him on. Don't get him on. It's pointless, because all referees back each other. They're a community. They're going to back each other. And it frustrates me even more that he goes on Sky Sports and tries to justify the rationales of awful decisions getting made by the officials. It's still officials deciding the VAR decisions. It's not technology. These idiots that are at the VAR centres that are actually coincidentally the same idiots that referee our matches are not getting it right. Human error is still in football. You're never going to get rid of it, because everything has to be managed by a human for the system to work. So why the hell has VAR been introduced if before there was human errors being made? You can't stop human error. But what they're now doing, and do you know what? I'm so happy that Villa players have finally, after 2 weeks of it, they've gone, do you know what? Nah, we've had enough of this. And they've come out on social media and made it known that they want VAR gone. And that's what it's going to take. It's going to take players to come out, all of them, and say, this can't continue. Because that is a joke. That is an absolute joke. And yeah, VAR has done some good things. But you know what? It's embarrassing at this point. Absolutely embarrassing.
I think with VAR is, I 100% agree. If you have to get lines out, it's not clear and obvious. But VAR should be run the same way rugby's run with TMO. Why can't the people in the room make the decision for the referee? Why do we then have to wait for the referee to go and make a decision by looking at a monitor? When they scored a goal, 30 seconds max is what you need. Is he offside? It's tight, possibly not, benefit of doubt. So he's not offside. Hi, mate, he's not offside, it's a goal. That's it. Done. That's it. That is how VAR should be run. They don't need to add the suspense of, yeah, mate, we've looked at it for about 2.5 minutes. We think you need to have a look at it now. No, tell him what the decision is. Tell him, please, because we don't need another.
It embarrass. Right, what VAR does is embarrass the officials, because they said it on the commentary during the game. When that decision, I think it was 2 minutes 30 after it had happened, the coding from VAR to the referee was delay play even more. What are you delaying? Why are you delaying play even more? It took you 2.5 minutes to turn around to the ref and go, can you delay it a little bit more so we can just check if he's offside? Just check if he... honestly, it's embarrassing, and I feel so sorry for Ollie Watkins. And I'm livid, because Villa should have won that game. We should have won at the very least, or got a point at the very, very least, and we've been robbed of a point. And this is not the first time that Villa have been robbed by VAR. And that's why all Villa fans are just so angry about this decision. Because
the thing with VAR though is that it has its good and it has its bad, and that's the problem. It's not just all bad. It does actually make, funny enough, good decisions. Like, I can name 2 good decisions that it's made, but obviously I can name loads of bad decisions it made. The 2 right off the top of my head now is Fernandez foul on Gallagher last week, not a pen. It was given, VAR checked, no pen. And then this week, Robertson tackle on Danny Welbeck was a pen, wasn't originally given, and then it was given. It was a foul. They're the 2 good reasons for having VAR. Because if VAR's not there, that's 2 decisions given which are wrong. But then you've got the flip side, where you've got all the offside rubbish going on. You've got all the time that's being taken. The fact that people in the box don't tell the ref the decision. The ref has to look at it. There's too many cons to the pros.
Do you not potentially think then that VAR should only be for penalty decisions, and offsides should be down to the linesman and the officials? And if VAR think that it is clear and obvious, as in by a certain amount, in, like, I don't know, 1 millimetre or 2 millimetres offside, whatever the measurement is, they can then review the decision. I find it mental how, like, some of these offside, like, there is no, Dean Smith said it, there is no clarity on what VAR do. It just happens during a match. There's no rules that have been released for VAR. There's no measurements for offsides being released by VAR. There is nothing that clubs can go, yeah, right, that's why they did that. There's no reasoning behind anything. I really want to know who that idiot was. That idiot of a referee who gave that offside. I really want to know who it is. And I bet you it's Michael Oliver, who bloody gave the decision against us last week on the pitch. I think
with VAR, in terms of only having it for penalties and scrapping it for offsides, I still go back to that Cardiff offside against Chelsea, which Chelsea scored from, and that's the whole reason VAR got brought in. And everyone was like,
"True, but that's 1 in a million. That's one.
There's been more. There was so many more that season where players were blatantly offside. There was one, Liverpool against West Ham. Milner's offside in front of the linesman, and he didn't give it. I just think the linesmen are so bad they can't give generic, blatant offsides, and they need the help because they're that bad. Like, genuinely. There's 2 instances there where they can't see normal offsides. Where was the other one? Oh, yeah. I know it's not Premier League. Rashford's goal against Leipzig. Offside. He starts in his own half. They can't do They
do you
can't
know
do
what? That is
decisions. They
that
miss
is
out. They're terrible.
that is true. That is true. But the issue is that football is becoming too technical. Human error is a massive part of football. It's a massive talking point. There's always going to be human error in football. Premier League is a perfectionist. Everything has to be perfect. But in the Premier League, Watkins, any others, they are minimal. The offsides are so cutthroat, it's a joke. The smallest of margins make the biggest difference at that level because they're at that level. You need educated, better officials at the VAR who are experts. There needs to be a certain amount of measurement of a player. There needs to be leniency towards the attacker because we're robbing attackers of moments of brilliance, like Watkins. What a run that was. Considering he was getting rugby tackled to the floor and still finished it, what a run from Watkins. And he gets rewarded after missing a penalty as well. It must have been the worst day of his life. He misses a penalty and then scores a goal and then it gets chalked off 4 minutes later. And it baffles me. It really baffles me, VAR, because there are pros and cons, but like you said, the cons definitely outweigh the pros. And I think the Premier League clubs or the Premier League players need to get together and say, look, either this goes or it changes. There's no in between where it stays the same. No, because Emi Martinez, Jack Grealish, who else did it? Matty Cash, pretty much all the Villa players came out after John McGinn come out after the game and said VAR is a load of rubbish, and they'll see that will start a movement. I hope, because it's going to happen to another team in this game week, and I hope their players put it on social media. I hope their players give it for the FA to see, and all of them clowns in the Premier League that run it. Because do you know what? It comes to a point where football isn't football anymore. There's no enjoyment to scoring a goal anymore. Players don't celebrate. Fans don't celebrate. Commentators don't celebrate. There's no emotion to football anymore. And that's come through technology.
They definitely have to revise VAR and make it better, because at the minute, I mean, I don't know if they have improved it since it come in or if it's still the same.
It has.
So
it's just been the same.
So it's been the Premier League now for a good season and a quarter, really, almost. Well, I would say almost a season and a half because we're almost at Christmas. But in terms of games week, I don't think we're quite there yet. But basically, call it a season and a half, and it hasn't improved. And we've had these issues all the way through. So, and the thing I don't get is we are one of the last countries to implement VAR into our leagues. Why are we not looking at other countries where it's working well? If you look at Italy, Germany, why are we not looking at them where it's working well? They've had it for 3 years longer than us and doing what they're doing. Like, it's not like we're the guinea pigs. We're the first people to have it. Why are we not creaming off all of the good stuff that's coming from them leagues about VAR and using it on ours? Like, I don't understand it. And I think, look, it has to change. It has to, because there are some things like, I know, look, United fan, nothing really has gone too wrong for me due to VAR. Funny, haha, hilarious. But if something had gone wrong for my club, like it has for you, obviously I'd be fuming. And if that had happened to me last night, I'd be fuming. It could well happen to me tonight against PSG. It could happen to me at the weekend against West Ham. But the thing is...
Oh, bloody will against them lot, Jesus.
The thing is, they have to change it, because it's going to happen to United at some point. It is. It's going to happen. Like, we've got away with a lot, and we've had a lot of decisions go for us. I still agree that them decisions were the right decisions, because I've seen them. They're the right decisions. But a lot has gone for us. But they still have to change VAR, because there's something coming, especially for United. There is something big coming that's going to be VAR. And I can't wait. I really can't wait, because I know it's coming. It's just when.
No, it is. It will happen to every single team. Like, if you don't get affected by VAR, then your luck is just so in. And you know what? Look, I'm more gutted because we've lost. If we'd have drew this game, I wouldn't have been so angry, because we've got something out of the game.
Definitely.
But Villa deserved to win this game. I would put this on a par with Liverpool at home. I'd probably say this was our second best performance of the season, bar 2 lapses of concentration from our defenders. We were fantastic, and that's the most gutting thing. And obviously, as I've mentioned a few times, if you don't know, Aston Villa v Newcastle has been postponed. COVID has hit in Newcastle. 5 of their first team players have been tested positive, so they've had to shut all the training ground down and they've all had to isolate. So obviously Villa and the Premier League have supported their decision to cancel the game. Villa could have been stingy and been idiots and claimed the 3 points, but I don't think there's any facility for that. I think it would have been pure disrespect towards Newcastle, and we have to respect their decision. So it's upsetting for Villa fans now because it almost feels like an international break, because we've now got to wait until next Saturday, not even this Saturday coming. We've got to wait until next Saturday Saturday, early kickoff against Wolves away. So
Yeah.
another incredibly difficult game for Villa, and a game that if we lose, we've now lost 5 of our last 6. And look, it'd be very Villa to go to Wolves and play magnificent and win. We know that, and hopefully Ross Barkley is back. I'm praying that his injury, he'll be fully recovered by then, so he will be able to play. Because I think Villa did really well with Hourihane in the side. I thought when Hourihane came in, I thought he was brilliant in the middle. But it's a shame because Villa fans are going to be screaming for Ross Barkley to come back if he's fit. If he's fit for that Wolves game, he has to start. He can't not. We're a completely different side
I think
without him in the team.
Yeah, no, he's a huge miss for Barkley because he has started the season really well. But yeah, I think just touching on, obviously you got Wolves coming up. We have to obviously mention a fantastic performance for them against Arsenal. Fantastic win.
Yeah,
Arsenal in the mud even more, and Leeds Everton as well. A great win for Leeds. 1-0 against Everton.
Surprisingly.
I think we both predicted Everton wins. So
we did. I predicted Calvert-Lewin to get a hat-trick, so that ended well.
160 million player didn't score against Leeds. It's great win for Leeds. I thought that was a very, very entertaining game.
Leeds were brilliant.
Leeds were good, but
Leeds were brilliant,
Everton was as well. I think Pickford actually played quite well in that game, to be fair to him.
He did.
And I think it's Meslaya, the Leeds keeper. I think he pulled off a couple of great saves. Yeah. So a good day for the keepers, but maybe not. I think Doucouré should have scored as well. But 2 great results for Wolves and Leeds there, and I think Arsenal and Arteta, that may have to be a whole episode on a podcast really on what's happening at Arsenal.
Well, I think Arsenal one's a difficult one because a few weeks ago everyone was singing Mikel Arteta's praises and saying that he's a great manager, and now everyone's saying that he ain't got it. I think Arsenal fans as a fan base are way too demanding and are very fickle. And I think they just need to be a little bit realistic.
Do you know what the thing is? Do you know what's funny though? Do you know what the thing is funny? They beat United 1-0. Arteta's got a plan. He's got a plan.
Arteta's back, yeah.
He's got a plan. He's outclassed Ollie.
And then they lose 3-0 to Villa.
He's got a plan. So don't worry. They've lost 2-1. They're 14th. He's got a plan. It's fine. He's got a plan.
Look, I think Wolves are a good side. They're dangerous. Yeah. And we obviously have to talk about a really key incident in the game, the Raul Jimenez-Luis shocking incident. Obviously, we hope that Raul Jimenez returns to football soon. I think it could be one of those. I really don't think he's going to return after that, if I'm being honest. But hey, he might conjure up a surprise, but he's going to be out for ages if he does even make a return. And then David Luiz should never have played on. I did think that was poor management from Mikel Arteta. Surprisingly, he actually played better than Rob Holding. Even when he looked like Terry Butcher when he played for England.
He was wearing Leno's kit on his bandage, wasn't he?
Well, yeah, he was wearing Leno's kit as well. So, look, I think at the end of the day, I think Arsenal are in a difficult situation, but their fans have to be patient. Great result for Wolves. Podence looks like a really good player, and they do have a very dangerous side, Wolves. And Adama Traore actually turned up in this game as well for the first time this season, which was nice to see. Hopefully he doesn't turn up against Villa, though, because I have nightmares of when we went to Molineux last season and he single-handedly tore us apart. So, look, I think it's going to be a difficult game for Villa, but a game that, without Raul Jimenez, I don't know. I could sense something for Villa. If Barkley's back and Raul Jimenez is not available now.
They adapted well without him.
They are adapting well, but you know when you look, it's a derby. Wolves Villa is a massive derby, so any derby game, it's going to be close. It's going to be cutthroat. There's going to be not much between the two sides, and I don't think there is this season, to be honest. But yeah, we'll talk about that nearer the time.
I think with Wolves as well. With Wolves, it still baffles me how Neves isn't getting in that team. Like, every time I see a team sheet and he's not getting in it. I mean, he captained them last week, and then got dragged. So, and
I think it's
I think
it's rotation though.
I love Neves at United, and I know that may be a surprise, but I think he's quality. I really do, and especially the first, obviously, he played in the Championship, tore it up. First season, the Prem, tore it up. I don't really think he's had that much of a dip in form, and if he has, I haven't seen it. So
I think it's testament to Wolves being just having a fantastic squad and having a fantastic group of players. And
look, I definitely want to dangle 40 million at it, see if he bites, and probably dangle maybe 80 at Grealish, see if he bites and all.
I'm not going to be. I'm going to be honest here. I don't really want Man United to ruin two half decent players. So, but look, I mentioned earlier how I would mention about Jack Grealish before we move on to predicting the next game week. But Jack Grealish is an unbelievable footballer. I think on Monday night, there continues to be a realisation that this lad is unbelievable. I'm sorry. There was a point in the game.
Jack Grealish part of the episode.
No, there was a point in the game, and it's gone mad on Twitter, when there were 4 players next to Jack Grealish. 4 players went to tackle him. He took 2 touches, and they were all out the game, and nearly got an assist from it. The guy is unbelievable. I'm sorry. Every game he plays, the opposition are terrified of him. West Ham could not live with him. Kufal, I think he's a fantastic player, and I think he's been a brilliant signing for West Ham. Made him look stupid. He made Declan Rice look stupid. He made everyone in that West Ham team look absolutely stupid. And do you know what? I wouldn't put a price on him. I wouldn't put a price on that lad, because I don't think Villa would accept anything 120 million below. I honestly don't think we would. I honestly think, in terms of, if we're talking about a player in form, he is the best player in the Premier League. I'm sorry. There is no player this season that even comes close to being the level that he is at. He's set the level now. For De Bruyne, for Bruno, for all them players that are similar to him, he's set the level. In terms of goal contributions, consistent performances, impact on a team, no one is better than him right now. And it's so, even though we lost the game, to know that we have a player like Jack, who, when we play our Burnleys, when we play our West Broms, when we play our Sheffield United, who are just going to single-handedly tear them apart and batter them because we've got a player the quality of him. The thing that I fear about with Grealish now is that he has set his bar that high that he is now going to attract interest from foreign clubs, I feel. And I do feel that a big club are going to be making a move either in January or in the summer. If that lad has a good Euros, there's going to be 150 mil chucked at him. I just know it.
I think a United bid for him is inevitable, to be honest. And that if we're looking at United's options, and if we look at how we missed out on basically a right winger in the summer, like, you could say go back for Sancho, that's an option. But I would also argue the fact that shift. And if we went with what was our front three of, say, Martial, Rashford and Greenwood, you could easily keep Martial up front. Rashford goes on the right, and you've got Grealish coming off the left wing. So, look, you could then argue say, well, you don't need him because you've got Bruno now and Donny who can both play at cam. I wouldn't even put Grealish at cam. I'd still have him off the left because I think that's where he plays best.
Just imagine having Bruno Fernandes and Jack Grealish supplying for either Martial or Rashford. You just imagine the goals that he would get. I think Man United, I think your worst mistake was not throwing 80 million at him because you would have got him. The simple answer is it's a mistake from Man United. We talk about the Man United Sancho transfer being the failed business. It wasn't. Jack Grealish to Man United is the failed business because he is the real deal now. He has become the player, the complete footballer that everyone at Villa knew he would turn into, but everyone else doubted. And I think, look, if he wasn't a Villa boy through and through, I think he'd be with you right now. But
I think Grealish has that pull to United because I want to say he has supported us, but I don't know if that's true. So
no, he's a Villa fan through and through.
I think there was this thing, I can't remember when it was, where basically there was a lot of like United stuff being said about him obviously joining, and he's obviously liked a lot of it and XYZ. And I know not to read too much into it, but I think at that time it was a promising proposition because the way Ollie wanted to set or get his players in is he said he wanted creative players. And the two he was looking at was him and Sancho, and they're both English, and he wanted to sort of build sort of this, not Brexit FC, but sort of this England connection, the likes with Rashford and with, you've got Wan-Bissaka, Maguire, we had Luke Shaw at the time. So there was that clear proposition probably for him there to come in with a lot of English players and obviously, hopefully thrive off that. But it hasn't quite happened. And like you say, Jack Grealish is setting the stall out for the players. Bruno's level. Yeah, they're both on the same goal and assist contribution.
The thing is with Bruno Fernandes that I think Jack Grealish completely pips him on this year is that Grealish's overall play throughout the game and his impact on Villa is phenomenal and something that I don't think we've ever seen before. For me, Bruno Fernandes hasn't been, in terms of his in terms of contributions, he's been fantastic. In terms of his performance, I remember speaking to you. Bruno was rubbish against Southampton. Bruno was rubbish against West Brom. Bruno was rubbish against, who was it earlier on in the season at home? Chelsea. Bruno was rubbish against Arsenal. His performances have not been good at all. It's his goal contributions that Man United look at and go, oh, yeah, but him and Grealish are on a par. No, I'm sorry. There's no comparison in terms of performance. In terms of goal contributions, you can compare them all you want. But in terms of performances, that nothing compares right now. You got
Everton game, PSG, Istanbul, Leipzig when he come on, Brighton, Newcastle, all good performances where he changed the game. Good performances. I agree. Game, which is what Grealish is doing.
I agree.
The game for Villa.
I agree, but has Fernandes this season been as consistent as Jack Grealish? No.
Yes.
Has Bruno? Nah.
Yes.
Nah.
Yes.
I'm sorry.
If he's keeping up with him for goals and assists, and he's not even playing in the front three, then yes.
Look, he's playing right. So let's put this into a little bit of perspective here. Bruno Fernandes, I think, gets defended by Man United fans a little bit too much.
Because he's completely underrated.
Bruno is rated. Let me tell you that. I think if Man United fans looked externally, Bruno Fernandes is very highly rated. Very, very highly rated. But I think the one thing that annoys everyone else is that Man United fans, and I'm not putting you in this boat, but United fans in general cannot seem to fathom when he doesn't have a great game. Even though he gets a goal and assist, people will still turn around and go, yeah, best player on the pitch today, when he quite obviously weren't. And I forget what game it was. I think it was when Man United lost to Arsenal. And Paul Pogba was miles better than Bruno Fernandes. Yet Paul Pogba got all the stick, all the abuse on social media. And I just think with Bruno Fernandes this year, he set his standard up there last year. Back into last year, he was unplayable. Absolutely unplayable. Every game, he was unplayable. What I'm arguing is, this year, Jack Grealish has been unplayable like Bruno in every game he has played. Absolutely unplayable. Bruno has had 3 or 4 games where he has been a passenger and he's had no effect on the game for Man United. I think Man United versus Chelsea, Man United versus Arsenal, 2 big games, completely ineffective. Man United v Crystal Palace at the start of the season, he was terrible. He got subbed off after 70 minutes, no effect on the game whatsoever. So if we're comparing the two here in terms of consistency throughout the season, I think Grealish has been better.
I think in terms of the games you mentioned where he has sort of blanked in terms of performance, but also with goal contributions, they're sort of the first games he's blanked since he's been at the club. And that has been, coming up to a year. They're sort of the first games where performance-wise he has, look, I'm not going to say he wasn't a passenger because he was in them games. But it's in terms of the fact of not contributing to the game. If he's still playing average, getting a goal and an assist, he's still doing things that other players would not do. Like, you're not telling me. But the thing is, you could say that we hype him up too much or he isn't rated. How many times do we hear rival top 6 clubs especially go, he's not good, De Bruyne is miles ahead of him, he only passes 5 yards and he's a penalty merchant. And that is the truth. And the people don't appreciate good he is.
There's one factor that ties into all of that. One word, agenda. And everyone has an agenda against Man United. And
no, I hate to say it. He's had a better season so far than De Bruyne. He has. And that's not just De Bruyne assist, but everyone's like, oh, he's not on De Bruyne's level at the minute, or he's just catching up. No, Kevin De Bruyne now.
For me, Kevin De Bruyne, that's the point that I'm trying to argue. For me, the way that the players have gone this season is that you've got Grealish, Bruno, and De Bruyne's down here right now. He honestly is, because Kevin De Bruyne has not been anywhere near the standard of where he's been at the previous seasons. And I think we're starting to see a new era in the Premier League. I think we really are. I think players like Bruno Fernandes, Jack Grealish, Donny van de Beek, new midfielders coming into the game and having better impacts than a Kevin De Bruyne. Kevin De Bruyne is 29 years old. This guy is a phenomenal footballer, but Man City are an ageing squad. It has to be said, they're an ageing squad.
The thing I say, just before we go on to do our predictions, because I know we're pushed for time, but with De Bruyne, is if I was to look at the Liverpool game and the Tottenham game, I know they're 2 big games, and you could say Bruno blanked in 2 big games as well. But Kevin De Bruyne in that Liverpool game missed a penalty, and in that Tottenham game, for me, was pretty much non-existent. Now, Bruno Fernandes may not score in them games, but I am dead certain he would do something which would have created a goal-scored opportunity and we would have scored in them games. Or in the Liverpool game, possibly gone on to score maybe another goal. And that's what I don't get with De Bruyne, is he's not that player like Bruno is, who's going to really drag his team out from the mud. We look at Everton. We look even against Southampton when he played poorly. And there's that video going around of the second goal going in. He's getting everyone back. You know, he's the one really trying to rally the troops and get them back in. You don't see that from De Bruyne. And this is Man City's world-class player, De Bruyne, and you don't see the passion, to get back in. And whether that's because Bruno's always loved Man United, and when he's joined, he wants what's best for the club, and De Bruyne just sees City as, City, and he hasn't supported them for ages. It could be down to that, but there's no passion there from De Bruyne to really get him going when the chips are down, if you know what I mean.
I think just
same with
lastly
Grealish.
on
Same
that,
with Grealish. Cares about Villa. He'll die for the club. Same with Bruno. He'll die for the club. De Bruyne do that for City.
That's what I think spurs Grealish on. That, Grealish, Declan Rice and Grealish are literally like best mates. They are so close and we get on really well. Grealish wouldn't even shake his hand during the game. Grealish wouldn't even look at him because he cares so much about Villa. He cares so much. Like, you are trying to beat me right now. You ain't my friend. Go away. That's what I love about Grealish, is his passion. And obviously Bruno as well. He's passionate about Man United. Look, there's no denying that Kevin De Bruyne is a world-class footballer. At the moment, Man City are just being a bit poor at the moment. But, I mean, if they get a win against Fulham today, looking at the table, I think they move up to... They could go up to 4th if results go their way. So, look, I think Man City are... they've got a few easy fixtures now coming up. They need to get their wins. And, De Bruyne, I imagine, will most likely get going, if not already. But we move on to predictions. We'll whistle through them really quickly. So, on Saturday, we start with Burnley versus Everton.
2-0 Everton. DCL will be back.
2-0 Everton?
It'll be back. I think Burnley they're at home, and I think they got a result at home against Palace. But I just think Everton, they need to bounce back from that Leeds win because... I'm
1-0 Burnley.
Yeah. To be fair, that wouldn't surprise me. That wouldn't surprise me.
I'm going to go for it because I think Everton at the moment in that Leeds game, I don't think they were great. And I think they've struggled, especially against Fulham. They were terrible in the second half.
The thing of Everton, though, is they still created a lot of chances in that game, which they
do.
Scored.
But I'm putting into consideration the loss of Luca Dean. I think Luca Dean being lost from left wing back is absolutely massive. I think Alex Iwobi doesn't even come close in the quality. So, look, I think Burnley are going to win this game 1-0. I think Sean Dyche, another masterclass. We move on to Man City Fulham. Surely a straightforward win for Man City here.
3-0.
I'm going to go 2-0. No, do you know what? I'm going to go 2-1. I think Fulham will put up a good fight, but I think Man City will be too much for them.
Man City's got too much at the minute.
West Ham versus Man United. Now, I'm going to be honest, after the scandal that we had there, I really wouldn't be surprised if Man United missed a penalty and had a VAR goal chalked off. But I really want Man United to win this game because I really hate West Ham after that. So I'm only joking. I don't hate West Ham, but yeah, I'm still a little bit frustrated about the result. So I'm just going to put it out there. 2-0 to Man United, I think. Bruno will get on the score sheet, and I think Rashford will get back scoring as well.
I'm going to go, look, West Ham, no doubt, great side, in form. Bit like Southampton in some ways, really in form at the minute. I think they're 4th in the league, or 5th, we mentioned. So it's very similar to Southampton. Away as well, tough place to go, but our away record speaks for itself. And, we've just broken a club record, I think. We're still on a run of 8-9 games unbeaten. So obviously I'm going to say we're going to win. I'm glad you said 2-0 because I'm actually going to go 2-1 Man United. I don't think West Ham will score because we do have that tendency to, concede. But I'd love a clean sheet because I think Maguire and Lindelof really need a clean sheet. And yeah, so I'll go 2-1, but hopefully it's 2-0 or something.
Chelsea Leeds.
2-1 Chelsea.
I'm going to go 1-1. I don't think Chelsea are going to win this game. I think Leeds are going to be a really stern opposition for them. And Do you know what? After watching Chelsea against Tottenham, I don't believe they're going to win this game. I think Leeds are going to turn up full of confidence after going on the road and beating Everton and playing so well.
I just think being that Tottenham game was so tactically minded and it was so nitty gritty in terms of the fine margins of getting a chance away. I just think this game's going to be absolutely open season. I just think it's going to be end to end, like it was against Everton for Leeds. And I just think Chelsea have a little bit more quality in the final third than Leeds, especially. Leeds obviously have Bamford, Rafinha, and sort of held across the likes of them. And then Chelsea look at Werner, Pulisic, Ziyech, Havertz, Abraham, Giroud. I mean, you could go on Mount as well. So I just think Chelsea will edge this one, yeah.
So, we move on to Sunday. West Brom Palace and Sheffield United Leicester. West Brom Palace is a big game because Palace are not on good form, but I believe they've got Wilfried Zaha back. So I'm gonna go 2-0 Crystal Palace. I think it will be a smash and grab from Palace this game. And Sheffield United Leicester. Leicester need to bounce back. And I can't see Sheffield United getting a win from anywhere. So I'm going to go, and I don't think they're going to score either. So I'm going to go 3-0 Leicester. I think they'll give them a drubbing.
West Brom Palace, I'm going to go 1-1 because I reckon Zaha being back for Palace is huge and they're definitely going to score with him back. And then West Brom, if there's any time they're going to really take like some results and really get going, it's after a win, and they've just won. So I'll go 1-1 for that game. I think it'll be a relatively decent game, that. And then Sheffield United Leicester, I'll go 2-1 Leicester because I think if Brewster starts, he did look promising.
I think Sheffield United will score.
I think it'll be Brewster, but I can only see Brewster scoring. That's the only player I can see scoring. I mean, he did, like I said, he did well coming off the bench and he looked lively and arguably probably could have scored maybe a chance. So if anyone's going to score, it could be him. I can't see McBurney scoring if he even plays.
So we move on to two very, very good games on Sunday evening. So we got the North London derby, Tottenham versus Arsenal, and Liverpool versus Wolves. Now, Tottenham-Arsenal is a massive one because Arsenal, what a game it would be for Mikel Arteta to get a win and lift the spirits. You know, form goes out the window in a derby game. Having said that, I just think Tottenham are going to win this one. I'm sorry. I think Arsenal are going to be petrified of Tottenham's forward line. I could see managers putting Son and Kane in because Harry Kane, being an Arsenal fan, always loves a goal against Arsenal, as much as it probably pains his family. But yeah, I'm going to go 2-0 Tottenham. I don't think Arsenal will score. They're another side that just don't look like scoring. So I'm going to go 2-0 Tottenham on that one. And Liverpool Wolves. It's a tough one. It's a tough one because Wolves have been up and down. Liverpool have also been a little bit up and down. A draw wouldn't even be a bad shout here. I'm going to go Liverpool to edge it just because I feel like it might be another Liverpool-Leicester game where everyone thinks it's going to be ridiculously close and Liverpool not shock everyone, but turn up and steamroll them. I'm going to go 3-1. 3-1 to Liverpool on that one.
Tottenham-Arsenal, I was contemplating saying one score, then I was contemplating saying 2-0. But seeing as you said 2-0, I'm going to go 3-0 Tottenham. I think this could be the game. This could be the game where Arsenal play really poorly. Being a derby as well, you don't want to lose to Tottenham. And I think Arteta...
Are you going to say Arteta's going to go?
I don't think he's going to... I wouldn't be surprised, but I think he'd be such a dead man walking.
No, I think Arsenal Fan TV will try and force him out themselves, to be fair. I could see DT losing his absolute marbles and tie. I can't wait for the watch along on that. That'll be brilliant after last watch along with Tottenham Arsenal.
So yeah,
memes galore.
Yeah, that's always great when Arsenal lose. But yeah, no, I'll go. Oh, it has been raining. I'll go I'll go
It
3-0.
has been raided.
I'll go 3-0 Tottenham. I just can't see Arsenal really overcoming. Like, let's not get to it. It was a good performance from Tottenham against Chelsea, but it was disappointing in the final third. But defensively, they were sound.
Agreed.
I just don't think Arsenal have any firepower at all. So 3-0 Tottenham. Liverpool Wolves. Good result for Liverpool last night against Ajax. Fantastic game to watch. Absolutely brilliant. Both teams were
Kelleher was brilliant in goal
Kelleher
as well.
played really well. It'd be interesting to see if he starts in the game. It wouldn't surprise me. Ultimately, it was a mistake from Onana, which led Curtis Jones to score. So fine margins again. Could easily have been a draw, that one. But Ajax even hit the post as well. So
Right.
it was off of last night. I'm going to go 2-1 Liverpool. But it wouldn't surprise me if it was a score draw.
That's
maybe a
that's
two,
what I
maybe,
was sort of...
maybe a 2-2. I'd fall back on a 2-2, but 2-1 Liverpool.
By the way, just out of interest, if Villa and Newcastle did play this weekend, what would your prediction have been? Put you on the spot there, but for me, I would have gone
1-1.
I'd have gone. Do you know what? I'd have either have gone 1-1 or 1-0. I think it would have been a really tight game because Villa I don't think Villa would have wanted to have lost at home again.
No.
And I think Newcastle will literally go, yeah, here's 2 backs of 5. Go on then, break us down. See you later. I think last season we only beat Newcastle at home because we had 2 Conor Harahan free kicks. One of them he scored, and one of them he whipped in, and El Ghazi got in at the back stick. So look, I think if Villa would have played it, I think Harahan playing would have been a massive one because Villa's set pieces from Jack Grealish getting fouled every 10 seconds would have been useful. I'm a little bit gutted that the game's not going ahead, to be honest, because I think it would have been the perfect game against Steve Bruce to get a bit of confidence back ahead of the Wolves game. But it is what it is.
I think Wilson would score.
Wilson would probably score considering Villa went in for him and he chose Newcastle over us, which he probably regrets now.
Actually, I've got a fun fact about this.
So
the guy who works for Sky, is it called Mark McAdam or something?
Yeah.
Right. So I was at Argyle because we were playing Reading in the Carabao Cup, I believe. I was ball boy in there, so we were literally like the only people allowed in to do the game. He was there covering for Sky. He walked past us whilst we just sat down before the game. He's on the dog and bone, and he's saying, "Yeah, I'll check out to see if they've put in a £21 million bid for Wilson." And my ears prick up, and I'm thinking, "Oh my God, what's happening here?" So anyway, there was me and a couple of mates, and we all guessed which team do you think's put this bid in. I think someone said Newcastle. Someone said this. I said, I think it's Villa. And about however many minutes later, it come up. Villa put in £21 million bid for Callum Wilson. So I know your club, mate. I know your club.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, mate. It was a bit gutted to miss out. But obviously, we got Ollie Watkins now, and hopefully we can get Tammy in Jan. But last game. Brighton versus Southampton. I think this is going to be a really good game, to be honest. This season, Brighton only recently picked up their form. Southampton will be ruined after giving away a 2-0 lead to Man United. It's a tough one, this. It's a tough one because if Ward-Prowse gets any free kicks, Southampton are winning this.
It's game over.
Game over. Do you know what? I'm going to go 1-1. I think Brighton will fall behind, but I think they'll work their way back into the game like the Liverpool game. It always seems like Brighton, other than playing Villa, of course, like to go 1-0 down, and then they seem to sort of pick up their form and then go for a game and get something out of the game. So, yeah, I'll go 1-1 with that one.
I think with Brighton, no more pay, or possibly no more pay. That could be interesting. Southampton, thanks for the 3 points, means a lot. James will proud if he gets a free kick, it's game over. But like again, how many times has there been the last game of the game week, and it could be the best game? We had it with Southampton Wolves, you versus West Ham. Again, this could be a fantastic game against
Did that West Ham Villa game even happen? I can't really remember.
It's not like we've done a whole episode on it now. Yeah, it'd be really difficult. I'm going to, you know what, 2-1 Southampton. I'll pick a winner. 2-1 Southampton. I think they'll be bouncing back after the loss to us. And Brighton got a bit lucky, nevertheless, against Liverpool with offsides, penalties. But yeah, 2-1 Southampton, I'll go. They got to bounce back. And that 2-1 Southampton.
So, lastly, before we dismiss, makes it sound like school. Before we leave, we need a player of the week and a fantasy shout of the week for next week. I just thought I'd add that my fantasy shout of the week last week was Callum Wilson.
Yeah, well done, mate. Well
done. Cheers, mate. He scored in the 88th minute against Crystal Palace. I thought that was going to be the goal to get him the win, along with my prediction, which was 1-0, a late Callum Wilson winner. And Joe Linton, of all people, Mr. 40 million, pops up with the worst goal I think I've ever seen.
I said 2-0. I was closer.
So I'm a bit gutted about that. I think the gods sort of weighed up your prediction with my fantasy shout. I'm going to go with fantasy shout. I think it's quite difficult this week because there's quite a lot of players that could really take a game by the scruff of the neck. But I'm gonna go for it in the biggest game, the North London derby, as some would say. I think Harry Kane. I think get him in your teams. I think he loves a goal against Arsenal, and I think he's an absolute bagsman, and I think he'll give Arsenal's defenders nightmares. And then player of the week, oh, this is a difficult one because there were very few stellar performances from Premier League players this week. I know you are going to say Cavani. I think there's no doubt about that. So you may as well not even say it, mate.
Who knows?
Do you know what? Right. The obvious answer is Grealish because genuinely, in terms of performance, he was unreal against West Ham. He was unplayable, but I'm not going to go for him, although he was magnificent and probably, in terms of performance, up there with Cavani. But I'm going to go with Cavani. You can't not give it to him. Comes on at half-time, scores 2, gets an assist. He won't get an inform on FIFA because he's not even on FIFA, which is brilliant for your FUT Champs players that are Man United fans especially. So, yeah, brilliant on that one, EA. But enough about the FIFA. So, yeah, Cavani is my player of the week with Grealish coming very close behind and get Harry Kane in your fantasy.
Yeah, great shouts. I'll do fantasy first.
Okay.
Look, there's so many options here because there's so many fixtures where people could bag. I mean, we've got City Fulham. We could easily go. I think Mahrez again could light that up.
Good, yeah.
Sterling, if he plays, could light that up. United, you've got Bruno. Cavani, if he starts as well, is he going to carry on his form? Rashford, see what happens with him. Chelsea, you've obviously got all their attacking assets as well. Tottenham, Arsenal's the obvious one. So, and then you've got Jota at Liverpool, who's on absolute flame. So, but no, to be honest, I would say Harry Kane, but because you've chosen him, I'll go Heung-min Son.
Oh, that was the one that I was choosing between.
I'll go Son because I think that big game, it's you got to call for a big pick, haven't you?
Yeah.
But I'd easily, if I had to do a close second, do you know what? I'd probably go Jota against Wolves, against his old club as well. It's written,
that's going to be
written in it. Player of the week. El Matador, Edison Cavani.
Do you need to say it?
But I must say that what an impact. He couldn't write it. You actually couldn't write it.
What an impact, both positively and negatively.
Yeah.
Only Edison Cavani knows what intention that tweet had. What a way to go. Typical Man United to be up there 1 minute, winning the game, and then go on social media and go.
Can I point out though?
Straight down.
Can I point out though about the game? He didn't do enough to get Player of the Week or Player of the Game out of the whole Premier League. But I thought Van der Beek was probably that's the best performance I've seen him at United, including he's played in Champions League games as well. That is the best performance. He just made everything tick. And I know I've raved about him in previous episodes, and I'm going to continue to rave about him because I love him. I rate him so highly. But he has to keep starting and keep playing because he's like Matic in terms of calmness on the ball, but can actually move. So you could almost argue that could he do Matic's job? But I think Donny's too good at going forward as well and wouldn't have that mindset to stay back. So he wasn't Player of the Week, but I thought shout out to him because it was a fantastic performance.
Agreed. And I guess that concludes quite an interesting episode. Obviously, we wish Raul Jimenez a speedy recovery. Awful incident, as well as David Luiz as well, because I imagine he probably won't feature in the North London derby after an incident like that. Shouldn't have even played on. Also, obviously, a lot of big talking points with the VAR. Comment down below whether you think VAR should or shouldn't be in football next season, as well as the Watkins incident specifically and Salah incident. Were they offside? What are your opinions on them? We'd love to know. And on that note, I guess there's not much to say other than that I'm still fuming about West Ham Villa, and I probably will be until we kick off against Wolves and probably be 1-0 down in 40 seconds this week. The positives of being a Villa fan, guys. But on that note, Braden, it has been good as always to jump on and do another one. And I'm sure we'll be back. And I'm sure we'll be back next week speaking about hopefully a Man United win. So we're talking about a West Ham loss. Yeah. And hopefully the Albion lose as well, because don't want them doing well, do we?
Nah, definitely not. So yeah, guys, once again, like Morgan said, thanks for watching. If you've stayed this long, make sure you do all the good stuff. Follow the Twitter, like, subscribe, comment your views. If there's anything you want us to talk about, please let us know. And like I said, Villa, hopefully they get back to winning ways when they next play. But in the meanwhile, hopefully United can do you a favour and beat West Ham. So I guess the last thing to say is, as always, up the Villa, up the Argyle, and up the United. And hopefully 3 positive results when we next see you, but maybe not for Villa. So thanks for watching. We'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.
See you later. Thanks for watching, guys.